don't know if the microphone's on.
No.
You sure? It is now 7 o'clock. We're going to call the regular meeting to order. Oh. Nope, we're going to wait for you. Nope.
We want everybody to
We want everybody to see you come in. Take your time. Just like I said 7 o'clock, I can say 7:01.
It's still 7 o'clock.
It's still 7 o'clock. We're going to call the regular meeting to order. It is now 7 o'clock. Requirements of the Sunshine Law have been met. This meeting was advertised in the Burlington County Times on January 10, 2022, and electric notice was given pursuant to the NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a moment of silence. Roll call.
Committeewoman Berkeley?
Present.
Committeeman Carr?
Present.
Committeeman De Silva?
Present.
Mayor Henley?
Present.
Committeewoman Mungo?
Present.
Also present, Township Solicitor, Township Tax Attorney, Township Labor Attorney, Police Lieutenant.
Executive session, resolution number 628-2022, resolution authorizing the mayor, township committee, and supporting staff to meet in private session and authorize the exclusion of the public from the portion of the meeting dealing with specific issues requiring non-public discussions. Attorney-client privilege, personnel and litigation, Dolan Contractors, Inc., tax appeal. Do we have a motion?
De Silva make a motion.
Second, Berkeley.
Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
De Silva?
Yes.
Mungo?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Relax.
Do we need a motion back from there, or we can just continue on? Do we have a motion to go ahead, give Nancy one moment.
I'll make the motion.
We didn't do it yet. Just take your time. You're good. All right, so we're going to motion to go back into open. Do you have a motion?
Mungo, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys. Approval of minutes for June 14, 2022, regular meeting minutes and executive meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
De Silva make a motion.
Carl, second.
Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
De Silva?
Yes.
Mungo?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Open meeting for public comment on agenda items only. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Come on.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can get a break.
Nah.
You can.
Yeah, you waited.
You waited.
You did your time.
Yeah.
Well, you guys put in the time, at least I did the show. Not until nobody.
Nah, not
We
at
didn't give
all.
you any snacks or anything, so, you know.
Yeah, it's happening.
Hope we got new batteries in there. Working?
Yeah, picking up.
All right. So it's, Gary Barbera, 138 Winstead. My comments on number 9, the monthly reports. I have a comment on the police department report. And in the packet, it's page 11, if you want to try to follow along. It's the page that has at the top the West Hampton Township Police Department Detective Monthly Activity Report. And my comment is on the second portion of that, under the separator line on the right, under where it says in the right column, Megan's Law notifications, it says 0, and directly below that it says Megan's Law registration / verifications, the number 3. So just be helpful to have some clarification on the difference or distinction between a notification and a registration/verification. I went to the New Jersey State Police website. It's clunky, and I think they deliberately designed it that way, right? The issue is I can search the radius, like of where I live, etc. The problem is there's no temporal element to that search, so I can't see who's on that list in a specific time period. So I can't see, if there was anybody that were added in the month of April or May, just to corroborate this, to make sure it was accurate. So not exactly directly related to the report, I can make it an open comment on that. The next is the Fire and EMS report. It is, I think it's page 18 in the fire report. There's a bar chart under mutual aid. It says monthly calls by district. And I'm just calling this out as a comment because it has come up in conversations and discussions here, is the monthly calls by district. And obviously the big number is West Hampton at 171 for the month of May. But obviously if you look at that bar chart, you can see Willingboro is right there at 136. So again, I think this continues to draw attention to stress on our resources and obviously some issues going on with that particular township. The next part of this report is on page 22. That is the out-of-service apparatus 2022 matrix. I'm looking at apparatus 27801. The line item is May. There's a number 0 there. The reason I'm questioning that, it could be just a mistake on the report itself. If you go to page 28, which is Craig's memo titled May Apparatus and Equipment Report, he's got apparatus 27801 listed. And it says coolant leak found and was taken in Lewisburg for repair. Ambulance should return to service by 6/10/2022. That's why I'm questioning whether or not it was a mistake. Because if it was out of service in the month of May, he may have to amend the report to indicate that that apparatus was out of service. It may come into play for his metrics that he's collecting, etc. I guess ultimately my question is that ambulance back in service? I hope it is. Do we know? Hopefully it is.
He's on vacation.
I don't know the status, I'm sorry.
Uh,
I don't know the status. He's on vacation.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The other issue in the report that I wanted to make a comment on is on the incidences and events 2022. Begins basically on page 23. I kind of looked at the incidences for the month of May. Two caught my eye, just a comment on May 4th in Mount Holly. There was a dryer fire at the Taco Bell. So the reason why that could potentially be important is because, that's a place of business, right? And I'm not sure exactly what kind of a dryer fire it was, but I guess my comment would be, does that trigger any kind of responsibility or obligation on the fire department's part to potentially contact OSHA? Because that could potentially be an OSHA violation. If that dryer is catching on fire, those poor employees, I know those places are very difficult to work in sometimes, so that may be something, and I don't know. I didn't have a chance to look it up to determine if that's an obligation that's imposed on us when we uncover that kind of. But there was another dryer fire on 512 at the hotel. And again, I'm just curious to know if that was somehow incumbent upon us to report to OSHA a potential violation for that. Another part of the report was it's on page 30 of the training division report. The drafting operations. It's the first time I even really kind of paid attention to this. I did not know that we had static water sources. It says we have them, apparently, where we could utilize this technique if needed. Does anyone know, approximately how many we have in the township and where they are? It's kind of vague, that's all. So it'd be nice to know. I'm going to have to move to one of those.
I think fire hydrants.
The next page on page 31, the training division, is the second bullet point on there. The mention about the new full-time firefighters and EMTs. That's quite an accomplishment that they achieved that milestone of completing those training requirements in the rookie book. I'm certainly proud of them, and obviously from the report, the chief is proud of them as well. So my comment is that I think they serve as an inspiration, especially to young people that might be considering, a career in fire science or fire service or EMS. I'm just suggesting, my comment would be, is there a way to potentially think about, recognizing that accomplishment as an important achieved milestone in an appropriate setting, and perhaps invite some school-age children, or maybe the Boy Scout Explorer, or whatever they're called now, Explorer posts, and that way they can introduce themselves. These are people saving our lives. I think they deserve some acknowledgement and recognition. I'm certainly glad that they undertook this training. It does look extremely rigorous. I couldn't do it, so I definitely appreciate that. I think most folks in the township, if they got to know these folks a little better and they understood what they're giving up to achieve these milestones, I think it would perhaps help engender more support for fire and EMS, which I think is strong, but maybe continue to help with budget issues, et cetera, where they can see that. And that's it on the monthly reports. I'll wait till you get to the ordinance.
No worries.
Gary, I just make a comment. You said that 27801 was the one you were questioning about the ambulance, correct?
Correct.
And you wondered if May was an error, but it does say in his notes further down, I know you mentioned something, but it said that it should return June 10th. Did you see that? Because the pool and
I thought that it was.
so it seems like it was out in May, if that is the case. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, and like I said, Craig's pretty good with keeping these reports pretty accurate. And when you're looking at these grids, et cetera, like I said, ultimately maybe it's going to hit a bucket at the end of the year and produce another report. That's an important thing for us to know. I wouldn't want us not to have that information because it could help again with budgeting. So I don't want to have to play secretary and redo the report. I'm just pointing it out. To me, it looked like I see what he said in his other thing, but it's missing from there. That's all.
That's a lot. How much days out?
I guess I don't see that it's missing.
Maybe that should be.
Thank you.
We can hear you pretty well.
I was waiting to see if you were going to walk all the way back. I was going to be like, no, you might as well. So we're going to close the meeting for public comment on agenda items only. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Monthly reports, West Hampton Township Police Department, West Hampton Township Fire and EMS, and the West Hampton Township Public Works. Ordinances. How come it doesn't ask for a motion, like in a roll call?
We never had.
Really? Okay. Ordinances. 6-2022, an ordinance of the Township of West Hampton appropriating $905,278.33 of American Rescue Plan funds to fund public safety measures and technology investments. This is the second reading, so we're going to open it for public comment.
Yes. Press and hold the buttons till the light comes on.
Yeah, Gary Barbera, 138 Winstead. Public comment on the ordinance 6-2022. My public comment is on the ordinance. It's on section 2 of the ordinance. This is the section that describes the sum of $67,021 hereby appropriated for a 5-year contract to include 15 taser apparatus. Do you remember? And in that section 2, it mentions specifically resolution 75-22, which was passed on, looks like May the 3rd, I think it was, if you remember. My only comment on that is, it doesn't mention the vendor who we're buying these from, and I'm not sure that's, you have to say that, but I don't know who we're buying them from, number one. Number two, the other issue is, I'd actually like to see the taser. Have you guys seen the taser? You know what they look like?
Up close? Personal? No.
I mean, if you remember the movie The
I was like,
Hangover,
nah.
right? Remember that scene from the movie, the great Hangover one? No, I'm
Yeah.
not volunteering for that, but I'm kind of interested to see what these tasers are. There's a point to why I'm kind of talking about this. Yeah, I'd like to know what we're buying, the make and model specifically, and probably more importantly, I'm curious to know if any of these particular tasers that we're considering buying, and I don't know if, I looked at the bill list, didn't look like we bought them yet, so it looks like the money has to be appropriate, then we're going to go out to bid, I guess, or I don't know how we would buy these things, right? We just buy them, I guess, from the taser company? Yeah, okay.
And just to let you know, all the details are in that resolution that we already passed. This ordinance is just to cover all of our purchases, so it's not going to be vendor specific.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I mean, the details in terms of you're talking about 75-22, that resolution?
These are resolution that was passed that has all the details of the make, model, and vendor.
Okay. I have the resolution up, and I don't see any of that information from the packet. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult here.
We can provide.
There's the resolution, and it's one page. There's no detail.
I can get it to you.
Okay. All right, so I had questions about that. If you can answer, or you don't have to, I guess, but it's a comment. I want to know that we're getting a good quality item. And specifically, I'd like to know if there's been any litigation around these apparatuses, specifically with defects. These things can kill people, whether they're intended to lethal or non-lethal, depending on how they're used. Sometimes, with manufacturing defects, it's very difficult sometimes to understand if they're safe to use or not. And I just like to get a handle on that. I want our officers to be safe when they're using these. And then the training, I'm interested in the training piece. The resolution mentions there'll be training provided. Have we seen the agenda for the training? Do you know what that includes? I'm curious. I'd like to know what it includes. I'd actually like to talk to the officers who are getting the training. I'd like for them to come here and kind of walk us through how they would deploy a taser. The reason I'm asking that is that it's very tempting to want to deploy that because it's considered non-lethal. But we know that's not always the case, number one. Number two, it's changing in terms of policing for our policing to become more de-escalatory, right? I just want to know, because I think there's a temptation, is if I've got a non-lethal gadget here, I'll just go right to that. That may not always be appropriate. People can get hurt. Our officers can get hurt, civilians can get hurt or killed, and then there's all kinds of other issues there as well. So I don't make the training curriculum. I just think it would be helpful to know what the training curriculum is, and does it include, de-escalation as part of it, whether or not you decide to deploy this taser.
Mayor, I can address that.
Sure.
Shortly. And Lieutenant Burgess, correct me if I'm wrong. On use of a taser in New Jersey, you can only use a taser in a situation where use of your firearm would be justified. So it's only if there's a threat to life. So it's the same standard that all officers have been trained on use of deadly force. That's the level that you can use a taser. And an Attorney General guideline on specifically use of a taser. So that I think addresses the inclination to use it in less severe situations. That's not there because the training is very strict. That's only where that force is authorized.
That's good to know.
That's possible.
Been tased.
Also, the Attorney General's guideline on conducted energy devices has to, it authorizes specific equipment to be used, so police can't just go buy whatever taser they want on the market. There's only certain that are approved as well.
It's helpful to know. There are, that's my comment on these.
Thank you.
Thank you. So do we have a motion?
De Silva make a motion.
Second, Berkeley.
Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
De Silva?
Yes.
Longo?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Resolutions 98-22, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills through 6/14/2022. Do we have a motion?
Carl will motion.
De Silva second.
Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
De Silva?
Yes.
Longo?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Consent agenda resolutions. Note, consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with a single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they need to remove?
No.
With that, do we have a motion?
De Silva make a motion.
Berkeley, second.
Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
De Silva?
Yes.
Longo?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
OPM mailbox and correspondence, there are none. We will now open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Come on up. I don't know why you went all the way back there. We got nobody, you might as well sit front row.
That whole table's open.
For the public comment piece, this kind of ties back to my comment about the Megan's Law Registry. I think I had raised maybe at a meeting a while back suggesting that we invite someone from Scott Cofina's office, but he's no longer in office. It's an acting prosecutor, Lakia Bradshaw, so did not know that. So again, I would still encourage you to, maybe reach out to her or someone from her office and arrange to have a symposium or seminar to educate the citizenry on Megan's Law. That's just my suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor to close?
Aye.
Dates to remember, next scheduled meeting will be July 12, 2022 at 7 p.m. July 10th is the Cool Off with the Cop at Cool Breeze Frozen Treats and Eats, the old Rita's, at 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Timbuktu Advisory Committee Historical Site Tour is July 16th at 1 p.m. and National Night Out August 2nd, various locations. So we'll get a little bit more information on that as we get closer. The committee liaison reports and comments, do we have any reports or comments from township committee members?
Superintendent has given his last day for work, October 1st. So the Board of Education has started their search for a new superintendent. They're going through New Jersey school boards to get people to apply. In response to, Gary, your concerns, I had the, and I'm not being critical, but I had the utmost, what's my word?
Confidence?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Confidence in especially our chief of police and our lieutenants. And I know that they have been trained, and I know that they spend a lot of time going through all this stuff. And I'm sure that if you want to sit down and talk to him, because I had one time I had questions and we sat down and we talked, that he would love to sit down and talk to you and explain everything. But I do know that I really have a lot of confidence in him. And that's why we hire the professionals, because we don't know. I mean, I don't know a taser from a taser, you know. The other thing I am aware about Megan's Law, that there are registrations and there's different levels that they have to inform people. Sometimes they only inform in the school, sometimes they have to inform the parents, sometimes they don't have to inform anybody. So the level of severity means the different levels of sharing with people the name and the information. So that might clear up the difference between registration and the other word that you used. Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else?
sir.
Thank you. I think Nancy brings up a great point. Like, I think we're blessed to have the police officer and fire department, police department and fire departments that we have, and the chief of police and the fire chief are very hands-on, I would say. But I think the other point that Nancy brings up, you know the chief and he'll always talk to you about everything he does, and he's very knowledgeable. So I would definitely look at that, as well as Chief Farnsworth. If you have any troubles, I'm sure Wendy can redirect it as well, as if, you know, you can always contact me and I can contact them as well, so.
Yeah, it's just, it's not, of course, it's everything on the internet, you've read it. You guys can just go to the page, you've read it. You just fight stuff 3 times at once, and then drive yourself in the car while being tased.
Yeah.
It's probably high.
It's under this act, humans are medical.
It's on something.
Yeah.
I don't know, last 20 seconds, but we could, anyway, this guy tased him,
Unfortunately, those things do happen, but luckily not in West Hampton Township.
Yes.
Right. No, I understand. Lastly, I don't have a liaison report. Well, I do have a comment. I wanted to thank the committee members that are here and for their engagement. For the most part, every other Tuesday, everyone's here. Everyone's running in from work to get here. Everyone has an idea of what's going on. Everyone enjoys the feedback from everyone who's here, like as far as the residents, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And, you know, this is July 4th weekend coming up, and everyone's here now, and we have, you know, one resident, and everyone's engaged to be able to provide you the best information that we have and the best service. So, you know, I want to take this time to thank them. It's always our police department, right? Lieutenant Ferguson, Bob Wright, our solicitor who's always here, Wendy, Samantha. I was trying to and Samantha as well, but, and you know, even with Samantha, like the fact that she's here to be able to help out as well and have all hands on deck. So, you know, I appreciate that, and I'm sure everyone else appreciates it here. So with that being said, do we have an adjournment? We have a motion for adjournment.
So move Berkeley.
Silva second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Scott.
Aye.
I was saying nice things about you. That's why